Hey, Coach Mary Starr, Dr. Mary Starr here, and it's my privilege to be with you to talk about eating out and tips at restaurants. All right, I have released over 50 pounds in my Rev Up lifestyle, and yes, I did go to restaurants. But I think all the coaches will agree when you are in your 10 days or you are just beginning to build your willpower and get rid of the sugars, it's really a good idea to stay away from as many temptations as you can in the beginning. So if you could avoid going out to restaurants, that would be great. But maybe some of you have a spouse who just loves to go out and that's just kind of like their love language. Obviously, you want to have some of those conversations, but you want to make good choices. So the number one thing, again, we would say is do your best to not go to restaurants. You know, I was recently at like a birthday party and this one couple, they were really both very, very overweight. And they just had busy lifestyle. They were a baseball family. And so they were telling me like, it's just so much easier to go through the drive-through and the kids get home, they get a snack, we get home at 8:30, like so almost every day they were eating out. And I was like, wow. And I was judging probably a little bit, but it's evidence based. The more you go out to restaurants, the more likely you are going to be overweight. Why? Because you don't have control of what you are eating. You don't know how much oil is in things. And a lot of times you're not, because we pay for it, right? We want to eat all of it, right? We want to eat, so we tend to overeat. So that's one thing just to be very aware of. Okay, so if you're going to go to a restaurant, then one of the things that you want to do is know where you're going ahead of time, right? It's not date night and we're like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? I want to have pizza. I want to have this. No, where you're going ahead of time. And you probably, if it's in your area, can look and see the different restaurants and look at their menus. Going to a restaurant that gives you the nutrition breakdown, right? Okay, is it going to be a fish and this and that? Like you know what you are going to be eating. The next thing is that when you're at that restaurant, so you've picked the restaurant and you're planning what you're eating. So restaurants like maybe, your local like Chili's and things like that, they usually come with a meat, a veggie, and a carb, right? And then a lot of the restaurants will bring bread ahead of time. So number two thing or another tip here is like no bread, right? And of course, if you're eating out with someone, like they may want bread, but you may ask them like, I'm having a really hard time. Can we not get the bread or not get it on the table? But number one thing is you're not going to have the bread, okay? And the next tip is that what I would do a lot too when I would go on a date night with my hubby, like to Chili's or something, I would get the salmon plain, right, without the toppings, and double the veggie, so double broccoli. So that instead of the rice, I would get double broccoli because I didn't like to have carbs at restaurants because a lot of times they will add butter and extra things in that. And I like my sweet potato pudding every day or whatever it was back in that season. So I might not have a carb left over. But if you're really planning out a restaurant well, you probably want to save containers. Like I've found that saving 2 proteins, because unless you're bringing your container, which a lot of the coaches do, and I haven't been as good at, but bringing your containers is very helpful too, because then you can, especially if you haven't done this a long time, you can actually see how many cups of veggies am I getting. Don't be embarrassed, just bring them. Okay, so double the veggie, and then also ask for them, to grill it with no oil. No butter, I don't want any seasoning. And a lot of times too, they add a lot of extra salt and things like that, like no salt on the veggies. Bring your own salt and, salt it, all of that. So So don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Plan ahead of time the restaurant you're going to. And if you can, like, look at their menu and make sure. And then things are going to happen. Like, they'll be out of whatever, right? And they might be out of, the other day it was, I don't know, it was a veggie or something like that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get a salad. Now, salad, that's another thing, is that when you go to a restaurant, oh, let's back up. Another tip that a lot of us coaches, and I heard Coach Wendy say this last month too, and I forgot about it, but started doing it again, is that I would have my shake, like if I, especially because I was doing 2 shakes a day a lot of times, I would do a shake before I went to the restaurant. Because a lot of times too, especially on a busy weekend, you're waiting forever for your food, and that leads you to eat the bread, like get food in. So I would have a shake prior to going to the restaurant, right? So my body's feeling satisfied. I'm not having the cravings, especially if you're doing the power meal or the pure protein. It's just so good. And my Ninja Red. Oh, always bring your Ninja Red packets. Like for years, decades now, I've got those little Ninja Red packets and I put it right in the water. For those of you who do the business too, it's just a curiosity thing too. What are you drinking, as well, but it just makes you feel so good. A lot of their water's not filtered. So I like having the antioxidants with me too, because again, I don't know what I'm eating. It's not always organic food and all those things too. So have a shake ahead of time. Another thing that our coach would do too is that she might have something like a bunch of veggies beforehand, like her cucumbers or something like that, that would kind of fill her up so that when she gets to that restaurant too, she's not feeling like she needs this. Now, here's some tips that I've recently used too, is I'm finding too that eating the salad ahead of time really makes me feel full. And most recently I went to like an all-you-can-eat Brazilian steakhouse. I was celebrating with a friend. I had a plan. I had saved almost all, like 3.5 proteins, because I knew I would be eating protein, right? And hadn't had my veggies. I had fasted. That's advanced coaching. I'm not going to go there. But when I got there, I had 4 cups of veggies, like all these different veggies. It was so good. And you don't skip the dressing. Honestly, if you put your orange container of nuts on there or your blue container of feta and stuff like that, you don't need the dressings, right? So always ask for no dressings when you are getting, or dressing on the side, oil and vinegar or oil-based dressing on the side. And make sure you have your orange container. But I was so satisfied, and then, didn't overeat on the meat, because, those places you can and stuff too. I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. Coach Megan, she would go out with her hubby. They had this one restaurant she would go to and stuff like that. And she knew the ingredients, what she was getting. She would plan, she would save the containers. Like, you can do this. You just need a little bit of planning, okay? So number 1, in these 10 days, do your best maybe not to go out as much to the restaurants. Number 2, plan, make a plan. Rockstar Rev Up, Karen Mormon, her and her husband love to go out to, her husband loves to go out to restaurants, right? So she would have for her carbs, she would save the sweet potatoes. So she'd get a sweet potato with nothing on it. And she just, like, it was so satisfying. Like, right? A meat, a sweet potato, a veggie. You can do this, friends. You can do this. Get your veggies, get your salad in. Ask for them to, make things plain for you. One last tip I will share with you too is a lot of times us coaches have been trained to save our teaspoons, because we don't know what the meat's been, even when you ask, the grill might have oil on it. We're probably getting extra oils in, so saving like our teaspoons for the restaurant is a good idea too. All right, I hope this has been helpful to you when you're eating out. Know the restaurant you're going to, make a plan, You can do this. I know you can. Talk to you later.